Okay, so you say in your Fiverr thing, hey Shock, I'm currently a plat 2 mid main, Ahri 1 trick, sometimes play Victor and Lucian when she's picked a ban. In your opinion, you struggle the most in the following areas. Pressuring your opponent and giving away too much control in lane, especially when you play against people higher elo than you. You might lose an early trade or two and lose confidence in your ability to take good trades or even trade at all. Often fall into the habit of auto shoving wave without actually having to do anything with the prior, or having anything to do with the prior yet. That's very, very common actually. Inability to focus on multiple things at once, trading, jungle tracking, wave management, etc. Some games everything just flows, and others you'll zone out, not even consider enemy jungle position for most laning phase. Okay, that's sort of interesting. I'm going to come back to that in a sec. Generally don't die a lot in games, but first, largely due to my somewhat passive playstyle leading to missed opportunities. Possibly, I think Ahri is sort of hard to die on though, just in general. Questions. When and why would you swap to sweeper slash blue? I always generally swap to sweep towards end of laning phase. Brief explanation of Sork and Lucidity boots. What do you think your biggest weakness is? If there's only one thing I should work on, and what should it be? Okay, down. Oh, you appreciate the down earth coaching style. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Okay, so going through these one by one. Pressuring your opponent, giving away too much control in lane. That's sort of interesting. Like we'll just see your laning phase in general. I feel like this might like, okay, losing a trade or two and losing confidence in your ability to take good trades at all, or good trades or even trade at all, I feel like that is more like you trade maybe instinctually as opposed to trading like I don't know what the word is, like maybe like with a method or like scientifically. I don't know if that's the right word, but what I mean is that like if you don't know the right times to trade, and you just kind of trade like naturally or instinctually, I could definitely see this. And I think if you kind of like improve your understanding of trading, it'll help kind of like get your confidence to take trades against people that are better than you. But I could just be like making stuff up here. Sort of hard to know. Yeah, this is super, super common. We'll have a look at that. Inability to focus on multiple things at once. I think this is really common as well. And I think the best way to kind of fix this is to try and like make each one into a habit or make like a trigger for each one. So like to give you an example, I think like one thing I say is like when the new waves come, so like when let's say every 30 seconds the two waves like meet in the middle, right? I always use that as a trigger to like look at my map and think like what do I think about? I guess I think like where do I have vision and where are my teammates, and just like kind of like decide then which side I'm gonna hug to, and maybe think about like where the jungler is as well. So like that's one way you can do it, is you can kind of assign triggers like in the game, to make you think about stuff like that. So it could be that like after you clear a wave you decide what you're gonna do with the next wave, like that could be your trigger. Or it could be that when the two waves meet you then decide how you're going to manage your wave for the next wave. So there's lots of different ways you can do this, basically setting up some kind of habit in game. I find is quite useful. The other thing is just focusing on one thing at a time and actually making it into a habit to where it's not something you have to think about. Like for me, trading it's very natural to me now, but it definitely wasn't. Like I used to suck at laning phase long time ago, but now of course I'm the king of mid. But back then I was not very good at trading, so it's definitely stuff you can like focus on and learn. I think you just got to break it down into like smaller parts and then just try and like focus on each one until you become really good at it, and then eventually you won't have to think about it pretty much at all. Some games everything just flows, and others you'll zone out. This is interesting. I'm not too sure what to say about this. I feel like I'd be interested to see how many games you play per day and also how many games you play in a row. Like if it's just a focus problem or if it's actually like the game itself kind of getting out of your control. Because like definitely if a game is going how you expect, it's easier for you to kind of like, you know, just like do stuff properly. And on the other hand, if like you've played 10 games in a day already, then it's a lot harder to focus on this sort of stuff, way easier to zone out. So yeah, that this is kind of, I can't really say for sure which one it is, but just some things to think about. This one, we'll have a look at this, but I think like Ahri in general is very forgiving, so you don't die that much. Okay, when and why would you swap to sweeper slash blue trinket? So generally, you swap to sweeper if you want to like control bushes or if your team is really, really far ahead and you can just like keep the pressure on. Blue trinket is normally used when your team is behind or just even and you really need to check Baron quite a lot. Generally, you want to stay on yellow trinket until at least like around 20 minutes. And the reason is that like it's really hard to play side lane without yellow trinket. So I always recommend staying on yellow trinket until around 20 minutes, and then it's like Baron's up, so then you can either go blue trinket if you're kind of scared of them doing it, or you can use red trinket to control the area. But before that, it's quite difficult for you to side lane without yellow trinket. So again, we'll check it, but I would say just swap to sweeper after 20 minutes-ish. Oh, thanks for following. If you're really far ahead. Otherwise, just stay on the blue trinket. Sorry, just stay on the yellow trinket, and then again, like, yeah, think between blue and red at around 20 minutes. Exclamation of Sorks, Lucidity Boots. I think Sorks are definitely the best if you're the only AP on your team. Otherwise, I would probably go Lucidity. So yeah, I'd just say like if you're the solo AP on your team, the only person that really does magic damage, or that they're only going to build magic resist against you, I'd probably go Sorks. Otherwise, I think I'd just buy Lucidity most of the time. I think, yeah, most people I think actually do just prefer Lucidity on Ahri, but personally I'm of the mind that if you're solo AP, you buy Sorks, otherwise you buy Lucidity. And biggest weakness, we will come back to that after seeing this. So, Taliyah versus Ahri. Jungle matchup is Nocturne versus Rengar, so there's not going to be much going on in the early game. Now, versus Taliyah, I think it's mainly going to be wave clear wars. I don't think there's that much pressure you can do. Just in general, like, Ahri is not the strongest champ in lane. Her strength mainly comes from, like, pushing. Good harass, though. Yeah, I like what you're doing at the moment. You're getting some control. Respecting his Q. Nice. Really good positioning on the creeps. Really, really good positioning there when he was on cooldown. This is all good. Yeah, so far laning is looking pretty good. I like the W second. Oh yeah, you can't see this. Oh, actually, let me just move my cam a little bit for you. So the map's a bit easier. There you go. Okay, now you should be... Okay, so you should be a little more careful. Just, like, think in general about, like, how your opponent wants to trade. So, like, versus Taliyah normally, like, if she doesn't have worked ground, you can stand behind the creeps, right? But once she has her rock thing, or boulder, obviously you're going to take quite a bit of damage if you just stand directly behind the creeps. So just think in general, like the specifics of how the enemy mid laner trades. I think here you're playing a little bit passive. Let's see. Let me just go back. Okay, so right now, definitely have control of the wave, I would say. You know, you can keep shoving. I don't think there's too much you can do about it. Like, she can match shove, I guess, but there shouldn't be that much here. Keep autoing. Yeah, okay, actually, you're mainly... Yeah, I think it's actually fine. There's not much else you could do other than, like, put spells on the wave, but I don't think it really does anything. 230 ward. Looks good. I didn't see where the jungler started, but I'm assuming they started bot. Like, you would have checked, I guess. See where they leashed, but I didn't check because I was lazy. Now... Okay, well... It might be worth spending a Q on one of these waves, like, just so that you have a bit more priority, because, like, here... Oh, okay, I see. Okay, never mind. So the reason this happened is because you used your Q, I would say. So, like, I think if you hold your Q here, like, queuing for one creep isn't really worth it. And he's going to play quite aggressively while your Q is on cooldown, I would think, especially now that he's, like, level 3. So all you really need to do here, again, like, the problem is that because you used Q the first time, you weren't able to play as aggressively as on the wave as you wanted. And then now he's level 2 to level 3, you're kind of forced to use your Q to CS. And now he just kind of gets to go on you. You do hit level 3, so this isn't the end of the world, but like mainly he just like punished your cooldowns. And you kind of wasted your first cooldown, which made this hard. And I think also earlier in the lane, you could have pushed a little bit more to make sure this situation didn't happen, but good punish from you. Oh, he cleansed actually. That's really good. He didn't need to cleanse. So that gives you a lot of kill pressure. You can probably kill him in about 20 seconds, I think. Nice dodge. So you should play really, really aggressively here. Like, he just used literally every cooldown. Okay, so I wouldn't have queued that. I think once this guy doesn't have Q, or sorry, he doesn't have cleanse, doesn't have Q, or... Okay, so he's used literally every cooldown. If you just walk at him right now, with everything up, I'm pretty sure you can kill him. Like, with Ignite, you know, you could Flash Charm if need be. But I can kind of understand, because there are a lot of creeps, right? So, you know, I can understand why you might be scared, but I do think if you were very alpha about it, you probably could have killed him there. Also, if you just kind of, like, taken less damage, you know, because, like, you did take a little bit of damage for free, I think you would have been in a better spot to kind of kill him. Here, I don't think you can face check that. Looks pretty scary. I think you just push the wave. Good. So he committed to the base. You base. So, okay, overall, you are ahead. Should buy pink. Yep. Okay, perfect. Come back out on the map. Everything is looking good. think you're... I'm not a huge fan of, like, just using mana for creeps normally. Like, you can use your W because it's really cheap. Like, okay, you kind of have to use this Q because you mismanaged it, but just be really aware of, like, how much mana this wastes if, like, if you do kind of farm a bit inefficiently, you know? Like, yeah, you do use quite a lot of mana kind of for free, you know? And that's mana that you could spend on him. Obviously, there's a point that you reach where you just want to use mana on the wave because you can create more pressure by like pushing and moving. But you're not really at that point yet. Good ward. Yeah, really good ward. I wouldn't overstay this. Okay, so that now because this is pushing to him and the wave is going to be like frozen here for a sec, you have two options. You can either shove this in and then ward, or you can ward this and then come shove it in, but you shouldn't just like commit to like double warding. So like here, it's like you come, yeah, like this is so much time, and during this time you're losing creeps. And also, because you're the one in control of the wave, like you're level 5 to level 4, I think you have a slight item advantage and you have minion advantage. You shouldn't feel the need to like give up stuff to get wards, right? Like, if you want to get that ward, you can just go place it, clear the wave, come back, clear this, and then ward. Or you could push the wave first, come here, you know, ward this, pink that. But the problem is that you just give up creeps for free. In fact, it looks like you lost like half the... Oh, wait, okay. Wait, he actually pushed it. Okay, really weird. If I'm him, I just freeze this wave and you lose the entire wave. Now, I can't tell, is that a cannon wave or not? Can't tell if that's a... I don't think it was a cannon wave. But either way, like, you were lucky to get all these creeps pretty much just because he pushed it back. So I think you should have been a bit more aware of, like, where your wave was and also, like, the time you had to do stuff. Okay, yeah, definitely wasn't a cannon wave. But also that you were stronger. So you didn't have to do something like that where it was, like, you know... you would kind of made a play there like you were behind, but you're actually ahead. Slightly ahead. Okay, see this wave. Now, going for the roam, it does kind of look good. In fact, I think it looks really good. It's not perfect, though. But this looks like you'll get some kills. Get one, probably two, right? I think you get one more, I think. Okay. That's pretty good. So I'll just show you something like, okay, it's a good roam for a lot of reasons. Obviously, like, you have your jungler, they're pushed up, you guys have got CC in the lane and stuff like that. The only thing is, because you push this wave kind of slowly, you actually get here a lot later than you should. So, like, one thing I like to think of is that when going for a roam, it's ideal if you can be leaving by the time the next wave is crossing the tier 3. So, here, it's like, if you... Like, obviously, it's still a good roam, right? Like, there's enough stuff that's good about it for it to be worthwhile. But the problem is that, like, I guess you, rather than kiting this creep all the way back here, you should actually be kiting this creep forward and be looking to start, like, queuing and autoing this next wave, like, right now. You don't have to wait for the waves to meet in the middle for you to start hitting them. And I think, like, yeah, if you'd been pushing this wave, like, 5 seconds earlier, you probably leave your lane. You could probably be leaving your lane, like, right now, where this wave is just now passing the tier 3. And that's really important because it means that you can get back to mid, like, significantly quicker. You know, maybe here you can't. Like, it could be that you don't have time to get back anyway. But just in general, you kind of want to make sure you go for that. Like, yeah, just be... I guess, like, the main thing is just realize how important it is to clear waves as far up as you can. Like, if you have the control, you should be greedy and, like, and push the wave really far up because it'll give you more time. Now, coming back, I probably would buy Sorks this game, but I like what you did here, sort of. Like, okay, spending all your gold in your base like this is quite smart. But personally, I would have gone for AP just to push these waves in because I think, like, you don't really need the movement speed that much. You mainly just need, like, the ability to clear waves. So I think the double amp tome would have been better, but it's like, we're getting very niche. Like, does it make a huge difference either way? Like, honestly, not really, in my opinion. Yeah, like, I think if you have amp tome, you can kill these in Q plus 1 auto, but instead it's like Q plus 2 autos or 2 Qs. So it actually does make a reasonable difference. Okay, you push this wave. There's not much you can do with that pro, but I don't think you could have known that ahead of time. Hmm. Yeah, no, here you're right to be safe. No vision. The jungler's really far away. You have no ult. I like what you did here. It was good respect. It doesn't look that contestable, honestly. Unless this guy like 1v5s it. But he doesn't have ult. Yeah, well, he's kind of smurfing. Holy shit, dude. That guy's crazy. Okay, I would not have expected a level 5 Samira to be able to do that, so... now let's see. I don't think you could have pushed this wave earlier, like, you know, there's not much you can do about that. I think the only thing is here, you probably shouldn't use your cooldowns on the drag. Like, I guess you use W for movement speed, which is fine. But I definitely don't think queuing the drag... Like, just come here and... Because I wonder, actually, if you could have saved this guy. Like, if you're running... Like, you spent a few clicks going back. Like, okay, say we just, like, run straight here. And let's say we flash charm center. Like, can we get here in time? We're probably about here. I actually think you might be able to flash charm center. And then I think you guys... Yeah, Samira might live. So, you maybe could have played it a little better. But, like, you guys get to drag. So, you'd be pretty happy with it. Okay. Push out this wave. So with this prior, it's really important that you get some vision down. Because, like, right now you have no vision. I think it's kind of greedy to walk the way you're walking. Like, I think... Okay, so there's, like, a couple things. The first thing is that the reason that you push waves before doing stuff, it's twofold. Like, one, the enemy has to, like, react. But also, the enemy has to show. Like, okay, if you walk in here too early when Taliyah can still move, then you can potentially die to a jungle gank. Actually, the jungler's top, so never mind that. But, okay, in general, that should happen. But in this situation, after pushing the wave, then, if you know the jungler's top, you shouldn't waste time, like, just standing around, not really doing anything. This should be straight away getting a deep ward. I think, yeah, the ward could be a little deeper, but, like, it's fine. I don't think you really want to roam to that. Like, your AD is not there. This is really bad. This is really, really bad. So, like, as I was saying before, the earlier that you catch a wave, the more pressure you get, right? So if you just sit in this bush here, while the enemy mid, see how he's catching the wave really far up? That's because he's going to get more time. And you're not contesting the wave at all, and now you're just running bot. So, like, yeah, I don't really... I mean, I guess you're going to get kills, right? But I think this is pretty troll. Okay, we got one. He did get his flash. I'm not sure how worth this was, though. The thing is, you could go for this roam on the next wave. Like, let's say you had warded now, and you were now pushing this wave. Like, let's say you're standing the equivalent of where Taliyah's standing on your side, but you're standing on her side. Like, you can be pushing this wave now, and then you can be looking to roam bot. And because you don't, it's like, okay, you come, you get a flash and you get a kill. So it's not bad, but you miss a cannon wave? No, you miss a regular wave, and you also lose 2 tower plates mid. So actually, Taliyah comes out of this ahead of you. And again, that's really, really bad because you're ahead. Like, you should be getting yourself further and further ahead, snowballing. But instead, you're, like, falling far behind. It's... Yeah, it's not how it should go. It's really not how it should go. And also, like, another thing is that Taliyah gets an opportunity to roam top because, like, because you're so late on these waves. Like, there's not much you can do to beat this wave earlier, but, like, the reason you can't beat this wave earlier is because you left the previous wave that you shouldn't. But basically, like, Taliyah gets loads of mid prior for free because you're not contesting her, and then your Gangplank dies as a result. And there's, like, to be honest, this is, like, if Gangplank plays well, he, like, ults the wave and leaves, right? But it's solo queue. You can't expect your teammates to play well. And so instead, your top laner just dies for free, and the trade bot wasn't that worth it, so... Yeah, it was really bad, honestly. It was really bad. The whole sequence of events. Okay, come back on the map. You're pretty strong. Now, what happened here? Taliyah's top. You push. Tower plate. Base. It's a old spot, I guess. Yeah, okay. Sort of like, yeah, you pinged it. Sort of hard to avoid. Here, I think as well, like you probably should quickly get some vision. Like, well, I don't know, because you see Rengar and Taliyah coming, so you know where they are, right? Like you know their bot side, so I guess you can just hug top side and not ward yet and get the plate. So yeah, I guess it's fine actually. I think you can get out here, right? Yeah, you're fine. I think maybe you should have walked the other way. Actually, now if you walk that way, you get chased down. You kind of do have to walk that way. Yeah. Maybe if you had warded over this, you know, like if you'd quickly warded here right now, you could have seen Rengar coming and then not been forced to burn your ult. So maybe could have been a little better. But like again, it's mainly fine. Oh yikes. That sucks. I think the main thing here is that you're really, really impatient. You know, like, okay, this guy, he's super dead. I wouldn't even take this blast cone. Honestly, I would just walk up to him. Like, where's he gonna go? He's feared, right? Like, even, okay, obviously, mechanically, you don't want to miss every spell, right? But just from, like, a like, game knowledge point of view, like, your gangplank's coming, and this guy can't get out. Like, he's dead. The only way this becomes bad is if you commit too hard, too fast. Like, yeah, that somehow became bad, even though that should have been super, super good for you. So all you do here, you like, I would say just walk up, you probably get a free charm. Obviously, mechanically, it can be played a lot better. But like you don't need to make this play as fast as you're making it. Like you can play on your range, you can kite Graves, you don't have to end up in melee range of him. Because like, okay, even if you hit all these skill shots, does he die here? Like I don't think he does. He's really tanky. And like you just made the play way too fast when it really doesn't, yeah, it just doesn't need to be. I'm not sure like why. Well, I just think you probably didn't think about it that much, but you don't need the play to be that fast. It's a pretty bad death. Pushed away. Take some control. You have a good flank here. Really? I think you guys could probably fight it. I guess like the reason you don't want to fight it is because Gangplank's not here. And, like that's kind of understandable, but Gangplank has ult, and you also have like a really good flank. No, I think you could actually look for it, but okay. I kind of respect it. I guess what the play you made is definitely like, it's definitely like a higher, or rather, it's like, it's higher percentage maybe. I'm not even sure if that's the right word. It's like it's a safer play, probably the smarter play, but potentially if you play it really well, you could win that 4v5. And I don't think it's like a crazy difficult fight. Like there were things that made it good, right? Like you did have good position, you had Gangplank ult, stuff like that. Again, I think this is quite bad. Like, you're roaming off tempo pretty often. You know, like here, you just crash this wave and then you look to do this. Or, yeah, no, you should just crash this wave. The problem is, if you don't push waves before doing stuff, the amount of stuff that you get out of it is always worth less than if you had pushed the wave. Yeah. So like right here, right? If you come down and you get a kill, it's 300 gold, right? If you push a wave and then come down and get a kill, it's like 450 gold because you get the extra wave. And actually it's more if you consider the fact that the wave was denied to them. So like, yeah, you need to be way more, you need to consider the importance of waves, or consider waves to be way more important than you do. Because right now it seems like you almost don't care, but you need to care a lot. I think you maybe could have killed someone here with your charm. Actually, no. Okay, you get Everfrost. Yeah, I would probably stay on Yellow Trinket, but honestly, Sweeper is fine. Like, sorry. You have enough enough mobility that you can get away with not having a yellow ward, but in general, like, having a yellow ward is nice because you can, like, ward their jungle and stuff, right? So it's kind of up to you. And yeah, actually, I think looking at this sort of situation, I think you would be able to push further if you had a yellow ward. but you kind of feel scared, right? And rightfully so, because you have no vision whatsoever. And I think if you had a yellow ward and a pink ward, you could probably do that for yourself. Now, that was kind of unlucky. I think if you'd ever frosted him afterwards, you might still have been able to kill him. Ah, well, no, probably not. You could have got a bigger chunk, but I guess after the charm misses, it's pretty hard. Come bot. Push out the wave. Again, I think you should do another wave here. Like, if you have as much safety as you do, like ult and flash, Everfrost, charm, you should feel like you can push the wave pretty far up. Even with Taliyah Rengar ults, you can still get out. But the problem is, I guess you feel scared because you have like literally no vision. Like, Ahri can be very greedy on the side lane because she has like just a crazy amount of mobility that other champs don't. And so, because you never quite push the wave into the tower, one, you don't get as much time to move as you should, and two, it's like you also deny yourself a wave. Like, you can't really see because the YouTube thing's in the way, but like because the wave crashes on his next wave, you just like lose a wave of CS for free each time. And then this is like pretty bad. This is like really bad, actually. Like, you need to be back bot now, farming the next wave. But now Samir's basing, so you kind of have to stay. But you can see that the macro... Why do I keep yawning? Sorry. You can see that the macro, it just kind of... You lost this tower for free. Pretty much just because of bad side lane macro. So, yeah, that's really problematic. I think this guy... Well, he probably has his team with him, right? That's probably what you're thinking. He's playing very fucking greedy. Nice charm. Good chunk. He could have ever frosted after the charm, maybe. Like, okay, let's see. Charm. I think if you'd ever frosted, like, right as the charm's about to expire, you can chunk a lot more of his HP. Yeah, I think you could have chunked quite a bit more of his HP. Because, like, losing ult before drag as Ahri is pretty problematic, because you're not that useful without it. And while you did chunk Rengar, I don't think you chunked him enough. Then it's ulted backwards. That's funny. Yeah, this fight is just like way harder because you see, right? Like, you used your ult before the fight, and the chunk on Rengar didn't really amount to anything. Like, he's already back at full HP here from getting healed. So I think, like, at this point, if you'd clicked on this fight and saw that Rengar was full HP, I don't think you can fight this. Like, you're really, really useless. Without your ult, you don't really contribute anything. So yeah, that's really bad. And I guess Rengar, wow, he gets 2 kills there. That's probably like game losing, honestly. Like, it's, yeah, it's really fucking bad to die here. It kind of like, it definitely puts the game back in their favor. I think that, okay, let's go all the way back. So the optimal thing first is that you don't let that bot tower fall. Then the next thing is that you don't lose all your HP for free. I'm not sure. Unless you can kill Rengar, I don't think this is that worth it. And like, you shouldn't be face checking this anyway. I don't think. He has Sweeper, right? You see Rengar. I mean, how do you lose so much HP? Like, you're fine here. I guess you just face check before Alistair's here. Like, if you let Alistair face check who's coming, like, it's a lot easier for you guys to play. But you lose so much HP at the start. And then you don't really adapt by then not contesting the drag, you know? Like, you try to make up for your mistake. But it obviously didn't work out. Let's come mid. Can't really push the wave anymore, I don't think. This guy's too strong. Yeah, I mean, that guy doesn't even take damage. Yikes. Good playing on your range, though. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else you can do other than just, like, farm waves. I don't think you can match the Graves, and they can do Baron. Yeah, it's a really hard game state to be in. I'm not really saying anything, but I don't think there's much you can do from this point. Honestly, what you're doing here is actually quite good. Like, ooh, damn. Yeah, I see why that happened. Like, you thought they were just gonna face check, but then they have sweeper, so Alistair has to do that. But either way, it's like you're gonna get this pick on Rengar, I think. Was that a camera hotkey? I used to do that all the time. Kind of fixed it now, but I used to always accidentally F key in team fights. Okay, honestly, you've played this fight reasonably well. Well, let's see. I think Rengar should die if you play the first part a little bit better, but it's like kind of miscommunication, right? Like, and it's pretty hard in solo queues, so I understand it. Now this part is good. You come over here, you get the kill, and then we get a charm on Graves, and we've got people to follow up, so it's looking real good. Now this guy has GA, so he's fucking hard to kill. Okay, yeah, I think the game might just be completely fucked at this point. Just give him through, see if there's any more team fights. Ooh, really nice charm. Does that guy have grass? Or fleet? I can't tell. I thought he got a grass proc, but it must have been something else, right? I don't think I've ever seen grass Graves. Very nice. That was really slick, by the way. He did that really fast. Yeah, no wonder he didn't flash. That was really well played. Yeah, I mean, I think you guys fucked. Okay, so where's my notepad? Let me get it up. Okay, so early game. Well, actually, I'm just going to talk about the general stuff. So, well, no. I'll start like normal. Early game. Oh wait, what should I call this? Ahri versus Champion versus Taliyah. Versus Taliyah coaching. So, early game, biggest things. I think, like, okay, you could have put more like spells slash autos on the wave earlier. Like, okay, generally you don't want to use cooldowns too much on the wave because it like opens you to being punished, right? But at level 1, you can queue the wave and Taliyah can't punish you. The problem is that at level 2 and 3, you started putting cooldowns on the wave, but by that point you can actually be punished. And so the problem was like you had the tools to get mid prior and you kind of didn't use them at the right time. Like you didn't auto attack quite as much. Maybe you should have used a couple Qs on the wave at level 1 and level 2. And then the time level 3 rolls around, you're using your cooldowns and then not respecting and getting punished for them. So cooldown management, I think it's a big thing. Like respecting when your cooldowns are down. And then there's also like cooldown punishment. So I think there was that time when he used like literally all 3 of his cooldowns where he could have all ended him. So like, you need to know like how long enemy cooldowns are. You don't need to know the exact seconds. But like, yeah, I don't know. You need to have some sort of general idea. Like, you don't need to know, say, X spell is 9 seconds, X spell is 13, and, you know, Y spell is 16 or whatever. But you do need to know, like, okay, this one, it's relatively short, relatively long, and then kind of, like, think about punishing those. The matchups that I've played the most, I actually know kind of, like, the key cooldowns, like, really well. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, LeBlanc W is, like, 18 seconds, Syndra Q is 4 seconds, Orianna Q is 6 seconds, Ahri Q is 9 seconds. So, like, I actually do know some of the specific ones. Actually, maybe REQ got changed to 7. Okay, now I'm lost. But anyway, it's like you need to know just in general how long the enemy cooldowns are, and that gives you like a really solid time window in order to punish them. And it's really good as well if you know kind of like how your cooldowns interact. Like if you know, say for example, they have a 9-second cooldown and you have a 7-second cooldown, then you actually have a 2-second window in which to punish them. So that's really important for your laning phase. I also think your positioning in lane, you actually had, there was a lot of things you were doing well in lane, like you were harassing on CS the right times. I think you got some nice auto attacks when he was on cooldown. But your positioning in lane, like specifically, start again. Specifically around how the enemy trades. So like you need to think really carefully about how the enemy trades, right? So Taliyah Q1, you dodge by standing behind the creeps, or like a little bit behind, right? But then Taliyah Q2, the boulder, you need to be like super careful not standing on the creeps and stuff like that as well. So yeah, think about that. Then going back, let me just go back so I can kind of remind myself. I think your warding, remember your warding was was pretty good. And maybe that ward could have been a bit deeper. Okay, yeah, this was where the fuck stuff started coming in. So this is like general stuff. We're gonna have general stuff. So you need to be like super aware of waves and what they mean. So literally, like, you have, it's very interesting because there's like a lot of things you're doing quite well, right? Like your laning, I think your mechanics are pretty good, but then you're just like missing this entire section of the game about like waves, tempo, all that shit. And I can actually kind of see like this would be quite hard for you to realize on your own because it's not something that's very easy to spot. But like, so I'm gonna just tell you a bunch of stuff about waves. So first off, waves are really important, obviously, because like, okay, so one, they, like, the enemy has to farm them. Then, so they have to react. It, like, gives you a turn. Also makes them show. So there's like a lot of good things, right? They're forced to show on the wave. They have to farm it. They have to react to it, and it gives you one turn to do something. Now, the quicker / earlier you push a wave, the more time you get. So there's a big difference between clearing a wave in the middle, like right here, and clearing the wave all the way under their tower. You know, it's a difference of 5 to 10 seconds. Also, the more AP you get and the quicker you can push a wave, you know, for example, when you bought those Lucidity boots and you need either 2 Qs or you need a Q and 2 autos, it's about 3 or 4 seconds slower than if you need a Q and 1 auto. So you need to think a lot about the time and like how important that is for like roaming and stuff like that. So yeah, you really have to react. Waves, just, they're super important. And you need to like be very, what's the word? Like, you need to try B on every mid wave as soon as possible. If you're ever giving up mid priors when you're ahead, it's really bad, right? So like, for example, this wave, you did it really inefficiently, and you got to the mid wave late, so Taliyah got prior. There was times later in the game where, like, you, like this roam, you could have pushed the wave further up, you know, rather than catching it in the middle. And then I think it was like, which one was it? It was like, this was good respect of lack of vision. I actually remember that. There was like one more, right? I'm trying to remember where it was. Or maybe it's already happened, or was it this one? Yeah, it was this one. So like you weren't on this next mid wave as soon as you could be. Like, you should just get this ward, run straight back to mid, and catch this wave super far up because you're super strong. Then you can look for this roam. But because you didn't, Taliyah gets a free wave of prior. You come down, you lose a shit ton of it because you roamed off tempo. And then you also get to this wave late, which gives Taliyah another wave of prior to go and kill your top laner. So it's like, because you keep roaming at bad times, not respecting the kind of like time the waves gives you and not getting back to mid on time, it causes you to lose a lot for it. And it's like, it's really problematic throughout pretty much the entire game. Like, you did so many roams off tempo that it did physically hurt me a little bit. But, you know, I think it's, honestly, it's sort of a good problem to have, because I think now that you're aware of it, you'll have a pretty easy time fixing it. But it's very hard to kind of like become aware of this in the first place. In fact, I don't think I really learned this as a concept until I was a pro player, honestly. So you definitely don't need it to be challenger, right? But my god, it'll make stuff a lot easier, I promise you. So now in the mid game, I'm actually just gonna change this to wave stuff. It's not even general stuff. In the mid game, like, push side more aggressively. So I can understand why you might be scared of pushing side because they have Rengar Taliyah. On the other hand, you have like a shit ton of mobility, and you should have wards, right? Like, you should be able to get control if you have a pink, if you have some yellow wards. Realize the value of pushing the wave all the way in. So obviously, if you don't feel safe, you should just push the wave as far as you can, right? But it's like, if you can push the wave all the way instead of like almost all the way, it's a very big difference, because the wave will crash, denying them a wave. It also won't deny you an extra wave because the wave won't build up. And it gives you even more time to move. So there's like a lot of like very real, tangible benefits to pushing the wave all the way in. So that's super, super important. Yeah, really recommend like thinking about that a lot. Then other stuff in the mid game, I think kind of like, it was like mainly team fighting, right? Like, I think that was the biggest mid game thing, is that like you consistently didn't really push the side lane. I think the team fighting thing is like, team fighting. So be more patient before fights. Like, there were times where you got chunked or you deploy cooldowns before fights. I think also another thing of team fighting was like, be very aware of like your cooldowns. So like when you didn't have ult and you're half HP, like look at your cooldowns slash resources here. Half HP, 400 mana, no ult. Like you're so fucking useless right now, and you still want to take this fight. It's crazy actually. It's really crazy. And so you come in, you're forced to flash, and then you die. And Rengar gets 2 kills. Like honestly, that is game losing. I would say it's like pretty much over. Oh, one thing I actually forgot earlier in the game. Yeah, I guess like the being more patient thing is like when you were chasing that Graves down in your jungle, like he was dead if you played it slow. You didn't need to make it fast. You can like play on your range and not rush stuff. So like you blast coned into melee range of Graves instead of playing on your range, instead of kiting him out, waiting for your gangplank. So you made that fight or that skirmish like really, really hard for yourself. Also, I think like being very aware of your cooldowns and resources, like think about enemy team as well. So like when you chunked out that Rengar, right? Like you got half his HP, but you didn't get his ult. So Rengar still has ult, and then because he got healed by Senna and maybe spited the drag, he just ended up full HP again. So it's like you traded all your resources and cooldowns, and then he didn't really trade anything in reality. And so then like obviously you try and take a fight, and obviously you lose. So yeah, and honestly, I felt like after that the game was super fucked. Like yeah, it's really hard to play the game out from that point because like Graves is like what 3 levels up on the side wave. No one can really kill him. Yeah, like you missed your window to carry the game really. This maybe you could be more patient, but I honestly think it's kind of just a bit unlucky. If you're on comms, it would be way different, but alas, solo queue does not have comms. And yeah, I think this was all pretty GG'd, right? I'll just skip through it, but you had nice charms, to be honest. Oh, that sounded really weird to say, by the way, but anyway, you charmed. Wait, that doesn't sound right either. You use your E well. I'll leave it at that. Leave it at that. Okay, yeah. So in my opinion, easiest stuff for you to work on. Now you said like, okay, to work on the biggest thing for you to work on, and that thing you were asking for is definitely like all the stuff to do with waves, like all this wave stuff here. So like it's definitely just like mid waves and side. Well, start with mid waves, but side waves in general. Mid waves, so it's like the timing, like pushing earlier, like when to push slash not to push. You did that actually kind of well. Like there were times when you didn't push where you probably would have got ganked if you did. Just like how long a turn you have, like when you have the push. Basically, just like everything to do with mid waves, you need to have like a big focus on. The side waves, like pushing more aggressively, like testing limits on the side, like having vision as well, just like your pinks and yellow wards for the side lane will make it a bit easier. So yeah, I'd say that those were the biggest wave things. Team fighting, it's like recognizing cooldowns slash resources, also being patient. Like you don't need to make the fights as fast as you're making them. Other than that, just like your laning, I think your CD punishment, just management could be better. The way to focus on this, well, to be honest, you just need to think about it. Just like no matchups. That's too broad. Like, yeah, no cooldown timings. Doesn't have to be like super specific. You don't need to know every cooldown, like exactly how long, but you need some kind of general idea of what cooldowns, how long they are, and if they're important or not, you know, which ones are important. So yeah, I'd say definitely work on the mid waves thing. Now that you're aware of that, it should be a lot easier. Pushing the side waves to work on this is actually kind of hard. I think you just kind of need to test your limits. Try and see how far you can push the wave. Just be aware that if you can push the wave all the way in, it's very, very valuable. But pushing the side wave all the way in is sometimes quite greedy. Team fighting, this is harder to work on. Recognizing grounds and being patient. Like, yeah, this is a lot harder. You need to just like assess team fights a bit better, you know, like realize which cooldowns are important both to your team and to the enemy team, you know, being very honest, I guess, with yourself, or like playing accordingly to like, you know, you've tried to make up for the mistake, you're going in on half HP with no ult, but it's not going to work. And finally, the laning stuff, just like the positioning in lane, pushing the wave, cooldown management, stuff like that. Honestly, the easiest way to work on general laning stuff is to watch VODs, like just like watch an Ahri VOD, you know, like watch, say, Ahri versus Taliyah, and just like watch how the game plays out. Otherwise, you can just like, yeah, I don't know, be a bit more aware. I guess, yeah, now that you're a bit more aware of it, it will be easier for you to work on. But yeah, I think that's mainly it. if you have any questions about how to work on these things, because I'm not sure if I like made it clear enough, let me know. I'll copy paste this to you on Fiverr, obviously. So yeah, hopefully it was helpful. Let me know again if you mind this VOD being public, because I think it would be pretty useful for other people to learn from. There's a lot of stuff about waves I think was really valuable. So yeah, let me know if it helped you, if you have any questions, and if you mind it being public. And thank you, man, and good luck.